All right. Another way in which you can glide through your document is by clicking on Pages in your navigation pane. And the advantage of doing that is that you can see a brief layout of what your document actually looks like. So I'm on this page. I can go to that page. I do this when I'm looking for all the images and all the tables. I go through and I say, rightio, let me look and see if this is correct. I'm going to click on here, and all my items that are images or tables, I need to click on here and to change my actual style. So this gives you a good rundown on your styles as well. If you see here, I have now a quotation. I've just applied APA quotation style to that. I haven't given it any thinking. I've just used that. Furthermore, do I have any numbering in here? I don't think so. I just have all of that in there. That's pretty uninteresting. I should have put some numbering in. All right. So that is all of that done, but this is one way in which you can scroll through your document really easily. Once you're there, click the mouse on the page that you want, then go to headings, and it'll take you straight to the heading that you're working on. So you don't have to be searching around for it. One other thing that I do to a thesis, I know some students say they want 2 spaces after a full stop. Now that is a possible APA requirement. What APA actually requires is for that to appear in the draft document and for it not to appear in the final document. My argument is, why am I going to do it twice? You know what I mean? I'm just simply going to do it when it's in my final document, because who's seeing the draft? You know, us, and we don't really want 2 spaces after a full stop. That's a very old feature that goes with a typewriter, because I say that APA has not come over from the typewriter to the computer yet. It's still sitting in typewriter mode. Unfortunately, they haven't upgraded the features to recognize what word processors do, and even for that matter, what desktop publishing packages do. All right, now I was going to show you something with these pages. It was just moving through it really easily as well, and to have a look-see. Now in results, I can put in find and replace. And I'm not going to read through a thesis to find every instance of where, let's say, for example, I had pasted that in there and I ended up with 4 spaces and the cat walked on the keyboard and I ended up with that, or I fell asleep and my head landed on the space bar. You know, all sorts of things happen on a rainy day, and I even have spaces in there. And rule of the thumb says that it's 1 space after punctuation and after and between words. So I go into navigation, I click on results, and in here I can see my little find a magnifying glass, and I'll say wherever you find 2 spaces or more. 2 spaces is the smallest mistake you can make, which is what you want to find. If I put 3 spaces in there, it's going to ignore 2 spaces. And automatically it says, yeah, they all are. Yeah, they all are. Okay. And I think, no, I want to actually replace them with something. So I click on there and I see, there's the replace command. What else could I have done? Gone to find and replace here. Okay, so I'm going to use replace here. And there are my 2 spaces that I've typed in. I can't see them, so I have to select them. Sorry. I have to select them with the mouse, and I'm going to replace all of them. Is it me or is it jumping? With 1 space. So I type in 2 spaces here, and I put in 1 space there. And I go replace all. I don't want to be making decisions. And it says it's replaced 37 instances. I'm not finished. I go replace all again. Cuts it by half, because it takes 2 spaces and turns it into 1, 2 spaces and turns it into 1. So I've still got 2 spaces there. They need to be joined and turned into 1. So it's kind of like, you know, paragraph, a pyramid formation. So I say, okay, now I go replace all. It's done 9. See, told you it would halve it. And I go replace all, and I go replace all, and I go replace all, and I go replace all. Finally, it says 0, happy days. So now I can close it. And now my document's safe from all those horrible extra spaces that I put in when I wasn't concentrating too hard or when I was copying and pasting and things like that. Okay, so that's the navigation pane. Oops, I don't want to move it, sorry. There are many other things you can do here. You can ask it to find graphics and tables and footnotes and endnotes, even comments, you know what I mean? And you can also go to pages, sections, if you've numbered your lines, if you've created bookmarks and field codes, and there's a bunch of things you can go to. So if you want to go to page 28, let's see, I click on go to, and there I am, I'm on page 28. All right. Now, how about this header? Okay, this is our dear friend APA. I want to go back to headings and I want to go right up to the beginning. APA technically says that on the title page, you should have the text running head and then the first 50 characters, including spaces and funny things like that, and then the page number. So I am going to go into my header and I'm going to type on my title page, running head, privacy in the Internet of Things. Well, that might be 50 characters, it might not. How can I check? I select it, and now I notice that it tells me at the bottom of my screen in my status bar that it's selected 6 words. Right, fine. I click on that and I get a little dialog box that comes up that tells me more. And it says, I'm on page 1, I've selected 6 words, I've selected 29 characters, no spaces, but when I count the spaces, I've selected 34 characters. I've also selected no paragraphs, and I've all selected all of that in one line. So it gives me a lot of information that I might not be able to use, but most importantly, it's telling me how many characters I've selected. So by doing that, you can say, these are the 50 characters, and I'm putting them in. Now I've got my page number, a single number, and I see it's jumped right up into here. So what I need to do is to put in a right tab. So I change my tab stop to right, which is this way. It says stop there. And I click that at approximately 15.5, and that tab will push my number over to the tab stop. Very good. I want to now go to the next one, and it still says running head, and that says page 2. Very good. But I don't want running head. Fortunately, I am in section 2 because I created a section break next page there. And it says same as previous. Well, that's why it's exactly the same. Microsoft automatically links all the sections together because you certainly want to go from 1 right through down to 480. But if you want to change things in that particular section, particularly in the header and footer, which remember are all field codes, then you have to think outside the square, you see. I have to undo the same to previous, and I click on this link here. I say, no, I don't want you linked anymore. Keep your eye on the same to previous here, and you'll see it'll disappear. Now section 1 and section 2 are not linked. I can now go in here and delete running head because APA says I have to. I can go back up, and instead of scrolling, I can go to my previous section. Oh, running head's still there. Phew. Go to my next section, and it's not there. I can do a little bit of a scrolly down, and I can see that things are looking good. Okay, double click to get outside of your header, or you could have gone close header. Now, what the actual document for the thesis says is that your front matter, no heading on the title page, right? A header or footer on the title page. Then all your front matter is in small Roman numerals, and the rest of your thesis is in Arabic numbering. So this is not appropriate. So what I'm going to do now is let me right click on there and go edit header, and I'm going to delete all of that, and I'm going to go to section 1 and delete it, go to the next one, keep going through my document. Oh, I've only got 2 sections, happy days. All right, so how am I going to fix this? I have to go into the footer. and I can right click and go edit footer. Even though you can't see it, you can still do that. Or I can simply go to insert and I find header and footer here. I keep it simple and I say page number, and I am going to put in a page number at the bottom of my page, and I'm going to right align it. So I choose the third one. That's left align, that's center, that's right align. Some people like center, use it, but left wouldn't be good. So I choose this one here. Now I have a 1 on my title page. Let me get rid of the stray enter. It's doing nothing but take up space. And gee, look at that. My footer moved down really nicely. So when I go to my next section, which is now in here, I see it says same to previous. Let me unlink that. And now it's not same to previous. And I get rid of the page number in section 1. And I am now going to change my page number here. Whoa, before I do that, I need to go to where it says chapter 1, and I need to put in another section break. Why? Because my page numbering here has to be in Arabic. I find the section break in layout, and it says breaks right there, and I've got a whole bunch of breaks, but I want a next page break. I want a section break next page. So what's the difference? Page break, section break. Page break says, on to the next page, please. Section break says, on to the next page, please, and be different. Okay. Section break, next page, and the section's been unlinked, says go on to the next page, be different, and I'm going to ignore you. Okay. I use this analogy. I say to the students, page break is like you're cooking like crazy and the whole family's around you and they're going, is it ready yet? Is it ready yet? Is it ready yet? You say, get to the lounge room and go and watch Mickey Mouse or something. That's a page break. Okay, I've just pushed them to another room. Section break, I've not only pushed them to the other room, but I've shut the door so they can't come back in, I think. Section break, next page, and I actually break that link is when I go and lock that door and I say they really can't come back into the kitchen. So that's when even my headers and footers are separate. Okay, so maybe that'll make some sense to you. So I'm going to put in the next page section break in here. Notice I've clicked right in there to do it, but it appears on my previous page. That's okay. I don't want this page break anymore. It's useless to me, so I get rid of it. Be tidy. Okay, so now I have, if I right-click and go Edit Footer, I have Section 2 there. I click on Next, and I have Section 3 here. Marvelous. I love it. But I need to separate Section 3 from Section 2 because title page is in Section 1, front matter is in Section 2, thesis and etc., etc., etc. is in Section 3. So I'm going to unlink that. Okay, so they're all separate now. And what I'm going to do in my title page, let me click on here, takes me right up to the beginning. I have removed it, so that's fantastic. I go along to here and it says 2. Let me edit this. I don't want that to say 2. It's got to start with small Roman numerals. How do I change this? I can right-click here to get a contextual menu and go Format Page Numbers, or I can go right up here to Page Number and go Format Page Numbers. Same thing. I need to change this format to small Roman numerals, and I need to start it at 1. I don't want to continue the numbering from the previous section. I need it to start at 1. Click on OK. Done it. Now I go to my next section, which is where it says Chapter 1. And guess what? That says 5. That should say 1. Format the numbering, leave it as Arabic, and start it at 1. And click on OK. Page numbering done. Hit Save. All right. So, in a summary, you're going to create section breaks where you need them, not a whole bunch of them, just where you need them. And because you're working in an area where they're using field codes, like page numbering, you have to unlink them and then make your relevant changes. If you're in a document, you don't have to unlink them at all because this is stuff you've typed. It's got nothing to do. There's no links here, so to speak, to the computer's thinking and working. You know, it's all separate. Because let's say, for example, I want to put this table, which is an image here actually, I want to make that landscape. Very ugly, they're right under headings, but anyway, I'm going to click in here and I'm going to put in a next page and I'm going to go to this area here. See where I click it? Exactly where I want it. Otherwise, I get stray enters. And I go next page. Now, this section here is section 4. How do I know? I look at the bottom on my status bar. And you're going to say, I can't see that. That's because you need to right-click here. And you get this menu coming up with a whole bunch of things. And you need to click next to section. And then it'll show up here on the left-hand side. Okay, no, don't want you to go to. Now I'm going to take this page and change its orientation. Notice I haven't unlinked anything. All I have to do is go landscape, and there it is. So now my document looks like this. I'll make it tiny. You can see my landscape page there. But if I'm working in headers and footers, for sure, I do have to unlink.